Shavuot 2023, this is session 2. What is Shavuot about? Opening our understanding. Let's continue after everything we've learned in session 1. Let's see what the disciples went through when they didn't have the opening of their understanding. Nor did the Pharisees have any understanding yet. They were studying the law and the prophets all their lives. And Yeshua said to them in Luke 22:67, "Even if I tell you, you would not believe it all. And if I asked you, you would not even be able to answer me at all." Because they asked him, "If you are the Messiah, then just, tell us." And he couldn't tell them, because if he said, "Yes, I am the Messiah," they would not have accepted it. And yet, the Messiah, him as the Messiah, is on every page of every prophet of every Old Testament book. The disciples also couldn't understand Matthew 16:22, when Yeshua said that he had to go and die. Peter took him and began to rebuke him and said, "It is far from thee. I don't want this to happen. Let it be very far away from you to go and die. This shall not be done unto you." How can he say this shall not be done unto you? How can he, Peter, with all the love in his heart, interfere with what has been prophesied? So Yeshua turned and said unto Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." But it wasn't Satan, it was his own disciple. Disciple number 1, I want to say, because look at how Peter and Messiah communicated. Look at everything they've been through. Look at everything Messiah said to him at the end. Look at Peter, who was the one who stood up after Pentecost to describe exactly who this Messiah is that has been prophesied. Only after Shavuot, Pentecost, did Peter understand the prophecies. But here where Yeshua said he had to go and die, Peter did not understand. He couldn't comprehend, he couldn't accept the prophecies. And he said, "No, you will not die." And Yeshua called him Satan. "Get away from me, Satan, because you are standing in the way of prophecy." So he's basically speaking to his beloved disciple, Peter, and he says, you don't care about the same things that God cares about. You care only about things that people think are important. And because you do that, you are called Satan. What is Satan? He is the one that is in opposition to God. So if a human being is found to be in opposition to God, even if it's done with all the love in his heart, all the good intentions in the world, no, Messiah, you will not go and die. But the prophecy said without him dying, he cannot redeem us from death. And if he wants to stand against that, then he becomes like Satan. Just like the church today says, they are free from the law. What is people called that are free from the law? They are called lawless. And the Bible says the Antichrist is the lawless one. And those who are lawless will follow after him. And those who don't understand the laws and the prophecies will follow after him. And that's why Yeshua had to teach Peter to go through his own trials and tribulations, so that he can understand the prophecies cannot be fulfilled as he wants them to be fulfilled. And this is my message to myself and to you for Shavuot, for the days ahead, for the years ahead, when we look at prophecies happening and we don't understand, and it doesn't happen in the way that we want, just like it didn't happen in the way that Peter wanted. Another strong witness that the disciples didn't understand was when Yeshua was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. Matthew 26:52. Then said Yeshua unto Peter, "Put away your sword into its place." Remember, Peter wanted to defend Messiah. He even cut off the ear of the high priest. Very significant prophetically about the ear of the high priest. About, the servant of the high priest was supposed to be the next high priest. And by cutting off his ear, where the blood was supposed to be sprinkled, remember the high priest? The blood of the sacrifice must be put onto his right earlobe, his right thumb, and his right toe. And if he cuts off his ear, there's no place for the blood to go, and he cannot become the high priest. Very significant, because after Yeshua, there's no other high priest ever again. So I'm cutting off even in his human will. Peter was actually doing something very prophetic, but he didn't understand it then, of course. Messiah says, put away your sword. At this stage, it's not the place for the sword yet. At this stage, it's the place for the lamb to be sacrificed. How else shall the scriptures be fulfilled? How else will the prophecies be fulfilled, Peter? You need to start understanding. You need to get into the line of things now. You need to remember all the law and prophecies that you've studied since you were a child. This is the first coming of Messiah. And unfortunately, this is the way it has to happen. And the second coming will be on a white horse, yes. But first, all the prophecies preceding the white horse coming has to be fulfilled. And we cannot take our swords out and try to fight against it. Because those who fight by the sword will die by the sword. And those who let God fight for them like he did in Egypt will come out into the wilderness and God will look after us. And this is not rapture. This is the tribulation. Matthew 5:17, do not think for 1 second that I came to destroy the law or anything in the prophecies. I came so that you can understand the full meaning of it. And that word for full in the Greek is pleroo. I need to make you understand how the prophecies will play out. And it means to cram something full, like in a net. You cram it full. You level up a hole in the ground, like you level that hole up. You satisfy something that is not satisfied, that is not completely satisfied yet. So Yeshua came to satisfy the law, not to make it go away, but to help us to be satisfied with it. Because up to now, it has been only half a cup. To execute like you execute an office, a position. To finish like you finish a task. Not to throw it away, but to finish the task so that the result of the task can come into the whole big plan. To verify. That is what fulfill means. To verify, to accomplish, to complete, to fill up, to make full, to make perfect, and to supply. This is what he came to do with his first coming and absolutely with his second coming. Will we be able to trust and endure if we understand the fulfillment of the law and the prophets? Trust the prophecies, endure whatever the prophecies says, knowing all the prophecies, not just the nice ones we like, not just the ones that Peter, in the time of Peter, the ones they liked. Come on a white horse, we're waiting for you. Restore the kingdom of Israel, destroy the Romans. There are prophecies like that, but that's for the second coming, not for the first one. Peter wanted to force Messiah to fulfill the prophecies of his second coming. Peter and, you know what, let me be honest, all of Israel at that stage, and you and I would have been the same. We want Messiah to come and be the conquering king. We didn't want him to be the suffering servant. We wanted him to be son of David, not son of Joseph. And then when Messiah didn't fulfill the nice Davidic prophecies, fear made Peter deny Messiah.
And this whole Bible study is to make sure that we will not repeat this cycle as seen in the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That because of fear, because the prophecies are not panning out as we would have liked them to pan out, or as we have imagined they will pan out, and then fear grips us, and we then deny Messiah. That's why we have to decide whether we are going to believe him, or if we're just going to believe in him. Because to really believe him will be to believe what he said, Matthew 5:18. For verily I say unto you, until heaven and earth passes away, until that moment, not even one jot or one little tittle shall pass from the law. Till what? till all are fulfilled, till everything is fulfilled, including all the end day fulfillment of prophecy. All the prophecies in the law and the prophets, all the warnings, all the instructions, and all the promises. We have to decide whether we believe that and then act on that and not lose faith. And what did he really mean with Matthew 5:17? I say unto you that not even a jot or tittle from the law will pass until everything is fulfilled as written in the prophets. Because no one was keeping Sunday or Christmas or Easter yet. Nobody was claiming that they are free from the law. Paul hasn't written Romans 7 yet, where people claim he says we are free from the law. So let's think about it. Those words of him has got double meaning. It indeed has the meaning because he knew 2,000 years later, people would be keeping Sunday and Christmas and Easter and claiming to be free from the law. So his words are meant for them to say, don't think any of the laws will pass. But he also confirms none of the law or the prophets will pass until heaven and earth is done and the new heaven and earth is there. So that includes everything in the law as the ancient history from Genesis through Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and then Judges and Samuel and all those books, until everything that is prophesied and given to us as examples. None of that will be finished until everything is finished. So none of that will pass until everything has passed. So we have to understand that Matthew 5:17, yes, is what we use to witness to lawbreakers out there. But it also is a witness against us, that we cannot look at any of those prophecies and think, well, it was only meant for a specific time and it's not relevant to the end times. Everything written in the law and the prophets will be applicable until such time as heaven and earth no longer exists. Peter wanted to force Messiah to fulfill the prophecies of his second coming. He didn't want Messiah to suffer the prophecies of his first coming, as did all the other disciples. They were walking back home depressed on the road to Emmaus, remember? But on Shavuot, when the voice of God, you remember his breath combined with his word, when that fell on them like fire, just like at Mount Sinai on that very first Shavuot, then Peter and the other disciples finally understood, and they could relate the law and the prophets for the first time in such an amazing way that 3,000 people came to faith on that day. On that day, they could understand all the historical examples and the future promises. But they also knew that there was still a very long road all the way to tabernacles, to the final fulfillment of living with God in the Holy Land. And that's what I want for us today, 2,000 approximately years later. If we can, with the help of God's voice, his breath and his word as recorded in the law and the prophets, if we can relate to everything in the law and the prophets, if we can understand the historical examples and the future promises out of history, and we can understand we also have a long road left until tabernacles, then we can, just like them, suddenly understand why Messiah is indeed the very jot and tittle of every law and prophet. And we need to ask the question, if we look at the disciples, why did they now suddenly understand how Messiah would fulfill all the law and the prophets? How he not only fulfilled the prophets of his first coming, the prophecies of his first coming, but that they could actually see, just like Abraham did, all the way to the end. And they understood that this is only the halfway stop. This is not the end yet. And we have to endure and play our part, because the full fulfillment of Messiah, of all the prophecies, we will also see, even if we die in the flesh. We will see it on the day when he will call all his people, either from every tribe, nation and tongue, or from the grave. and they will finally be able to witness all the prophecy fulfillment of the second coming. But besides Shavuot, what else made them now suddenly understand all of this? And here is the answer. And I'm reading this like a prayer for you and for me as well. Yeshua said unto them and unto us, These are the words which I spoke unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, all things that are written in the law of Moses, all things that are written in the prophets, all things that are written in the Psalms concerning me. Then opened he their understanding so that they can understand the scriptures.